Scene 7, shot G, take 1, marking.
We see a little bit more of you, Sasha, just so you're aware.
Okay.
And we're set.
Okay, everyone settle. And action. My name's Lachlan McLean, and I am a film writer, producer, and director. The past few years, I have written and produced 5 fan films, Star Wars fan films, and I have lots of other films I would like to do, budget pending, and you know, these Star Wars fan films are helping us get more attention and grab more audiences. So then the hope is with that we can produce some higher quality original films and more fan films or whatever seems to be giving us more traction on the channel. So I have been making movies since I was 7, you know, and my uncle got me a massive camera that you put on your shoulder. You open up and put a VCR tape in it, and I only had like a 100-foot extension cable to power it, and so I couldn't go very far, so it was just in my backyard. You know, it was a 2-acre backyard, and so there were a lot of like trees, and we had a zip line, and so it felt a little bit more fantasy-like for a 7-year-old boy. And I would just make a bunch of different stuff with my friends, and Star Wars has always been a passion of mine. Fast forward to 2020, you know, when the pandemic hit, you know, I was really bored. A lot of my friends and I were really bored, and we just wanted to make a movie. And I had this idea, you know, of doing like a 3-way fight scene. They choreographed that, we filmed it, just that, you know, kind of in, you know, like another backyard, but it was like an apartment backyard, you know. And it was just for fun, really was just for fun. And then people were commenting on YouTube wanting to see more, and so then I wrote the Secrets trilogy, you know, Secrets of the Trials and Temple, filmed those. Some of the skills that I learned since Secrets of the Temple and working on Voyage of the Crusader and Dawn of the Clone Wars was a lot more like directing skills, you know, and paying more attention to all the cast and crew as a whole, trying to make sure that their needs are met as well. When I had 7 different hats I was wearing, you know, we had some crew members drop out last minute, and so I would hop on as like first AD, and then hop on as wardrobe, and hop on as props and all that kind of stuff. I would get sidetracked. I was stretched thin to try and help everyone. So this time around I made it a point to do whatever I can to find committed people that had the passion for Star Wars and film to take on these other positions so I can focus solely on directing. Trying to balance it all is really, really tricky, you know, and with tight budget and production value. I'll go back to Temple. On Secrets of the Temple, we didn't have enough in the budget to make sets, and so the story was written around like a group of Jedi that were like on the road traveling kind of thing, you know, and so we used a lot of nature for our sets and compensated for that by going to all sorts of locations throughout Utah to make the production value be like, whoa, this is a very like beautiful planet, you know, like we got sand dunes, we got like beautiful forests, we got beautiful mountain ranges. The story was to help bring that out too. Voyage of the Crusader in particular, you know, a third of the film takes place in a spaceship. And so a lot of the budget did go toward the spaceship, but we found a way to bring the budget down quite a lot, but the quality up. These panels are made out of foam, and we just would shave the edges to give it rounded, and then we would paint it, and then boom, slap it on. And it was actually, fun fact, it was cheaper to make this set than it was to make the cockpit that we had, and the cockpit doesn't look as good compared to this. One thing that I would tell new, like younger filmmakers that have the same passion and want to get going is don't let budget restrain you. An example of this is that I had a vision for a story I wanted to tell, and I gave it to a filmmaker, and he said, oh, this is going to cost you at least $500,000. But I was just like, all right, I'll see what I can do myself, you know. It's just like, don't let that take you down. In a moment like that, if there's a massive story you want to tell, find a way to make a shorter version that's more budget friendly, and save that juicy story that you want to tell for when there's a bit more budget to do it. You can wait as long as you want, but if you want to keep the ball moving and the creativity going, what I did was go with it and work with the budget, and it still had a good success.